Wi-Fi for the office off. That's how we are able to record these market stats, so that if you happen to be out on a listing presentation and you're not here on one of these important days, it helps us with the streaming ability to record if you guys turn off the Wi-Fi while we're in this meeting. So I would greatly appreciate that as we get going live. We good to go, you guys?
Yeah, we're ready.
Awesome.
Is this on YouTube?
No, we are recording it though. Look, we did a reminder. We're so ahead of today, you guys. Look at us being honest this week. So obviously, today, for those of you who are old enough to remember, is September 11th. And if you guys haven't, if you go check out, Sarah posted this morning her story of where she was on 9/11, and she was there in New York. So if you have a moment, go read her post. I think she does a really fantastic job of capturing what we were all kind of feeling collectively back on that day.
I would encourage all of you to go read it, and it's not an easy read. So don't read it in your car or in the office. Give yourself some time.
Yeah.
She says it took her 20 years to tell anybody outside of her tight inner circle what her experience was.
Yeah. And just know too, I mean, you're all business owners, just be aware that today may be one of those days for you or for one of your clients, so. Let's move into some welcomes, a little bit of joyful. Let's make that transition gracefully into some joyful welcoming. We would love to welcome aboard Whitney. Welcome. And Brandon. Welcome to the KW San Diego Metro family. We're excited to have you here. Let me pause here for a sec. We had a lot of gratitudes last week. Do we have anybody that has a gratitude moment, someone that you would like to thank? Yes, Stephanie.
I just want to give a shout out to Sarah and her daily sparks. I've been getting a lot of, just a lot from them. And it's a great way for me to start my day and be focused on exactly what I need to do.
Yep, so Daily Spark, for those of you that don't know, Sarah is doing a little bit in the morning for 15 minutes, right?
Yep.
Quick 15-minute call. I won't use my words. Stephanie, it's meant to be a moment of inspiration. Is there anything particular, like one Daily Spark that you really were like, I took this little nugget out of that? Can you give an example of?
Well, between the daily sparks and the pivot shift, they've been talking a lot about lately knowing your numbers and going back and reflecting on my numbers because I don't track. I was like, oh crap, I need to really fix what I'm doing because clearly it's not working.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to steal something from one thing we heard in our class today. How many of you watch sports?
go sports.
How many of you would not watch sports if there wasn't a scoreboard?
Probably.
Yeah. Why?
Have you ever watched a football game?
You're busy. Without a scoreboard, how do you know if you're winning or losing?
I don't have a scoreboard.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's inspiring. I'm like, oh.
Easy to make. We can make that today.
And what I will tell you guys is if you hear something, please feel free to reach out to me as well. Part of the training that Ashley and I have been for 2 days is about identifying what those needs are. So if you don't know your numbers, there's actually a model for that. And we actually teach that. And I will jump ahead because I know I'm not taking away, but Ashley also has business planning clinic coming up on October 3rd. You have to be in that class. That's it. I'm off the soapbox. And other gratitude moments. Yeah, Kareem.
So I want to thank Ashley and Darren Tunstall from Talk 52, Ashley for providing that for us. It's such an amazing 30 minutes, guys. I highly encourage you to go. I've been trying to go every day lately. We're focusing on NAR dialogue right now. And he provides the layout for us to talk, but we can incorporate our own whatever. And it's actually I know Broker Bob was kind of annoyed with me when I had asked him a couple of months ago if he provide like scenario, like groups where we could do scenario, role play. And this is what that is. And so I'm so excited and I'm so grateful. So thank you, and I encourage you all to do it.
Love that.
And to Jacqueline too, she's amazing. She helped me with my marketing open house pass, and really wonderful. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Oh, so we got you guys. And so what I heard, and I got you three. So Stephanie's bringing up at 8 o'clock to 8:15 daily spark. She's getting a routine. She's starting her day. She's getting that motivation. And Corinne's saying from 8:39, she's on that conversation Top 52. So she's actually practicing. So she's not practicing on her clients. She's practicing in that safe group. That's a lot of us. And then you get into everything that you need to do to run your business and treat it like a business.
Yes.
Yes.
I've had a few escrows back to back in a couple of months, and I really want to thank Broker Bob. Every time I call or text, he really answers. He calls me back immediately. I
I
can
never talked to you once.
And also, I want to say the same thing to Ben. Any time of the day, if I get panicked in the middle of the night, she's there and I text her and she texts me. She never sleeps, I think. So, I mean, for me, that means a lot because I can get into really kind of like panicky state. And I'm super thankful for all that support.
I love that. Awesome. Judy?
I'd like to give a big thank you to all those people that have shadowed me at open houses. You do not know how much it means to me to have you there with me and me be able to give something to you. Thank you.
Speaking of open houses, I want to give a shout out to Rob Paul. I had a really tough deal that I think we had to do 4,000 open houses, but we got the deal done. Rob, I have a little gift for you. Thank you for holding it open several times. That one was super challenging. And then also I want to give a shout out to everyone who came to my class on Monday about leveraging your way to free weekends. Brandon and, oh my gosh, Kareen and Rob and Martin and quite a few of you were there. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the feedback. It really helps me make classes much better, so thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bridget.
I just have to say, you guys bring up the vibration. Like, this room, it's nice. That's all. That's my gratitude. Thank you guys for being awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you, Thomas. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you. And thank you to our culture committee. Thank you, all of you who are here, making sure we have potlucks and we have fun. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, culture committee. Thank you to everybody who contributed today. We appreciate that it wasn't just a bunch of cookies, there was food there. It's always a win when it's not just a tray of cookies. We have a couple of celebrations to announce. I will leave these up here so you guys can see. Some of these people are in the room. Congratulations. This is August Top 15 and August Top 10 year to date. Congratulations, you guys.
Numbers up there, but I think it's such good perspective. So Mike was our #1 agent in the month of August.
Hey. I forgot. Close to 6.5 million, something like that.
Wow! That's amazing!
So yeah, you know, if we're talking scoreboards, that's where the bar is.
Wow.
Now do that 12 months in a row.
And congratulations to our teams. So this is our top 3 groups here to date. I think that's supposed to be teams and groups and teams. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
A team in the Keller Williams world is 2 people, 2 sales agents. Anything more than 2 agents is a group. That's what differentiates.
Couple of training announcements. So for those of you guys, some of you were here, I was here on Friday, some of you were here for this, Never Ending Referrals. I know Maria was saying it's been really great and she's been really enjoying it. This is going to be Fridays, 1:30 here in person. Yeah, 1 o'clock. Oh, 1 o'clock, not 1:30. 1 o'clock. Anything you want to add about what you're taking away so far, or what you've liked about it?
I think probably if you ask the other people, Charlie?
Yeah, I think the idea is really solid. I just don't have a full database yet to be calling them once a quarter. You know, so I'm cold calling to try to build up my database.
Yep.
But like for people that have one, you know these people, you've worked with these people, call them 4 times a year minimum, and everyone says like, do it, and it works, and you know.
Talking to people, and eventually people need help. Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Tuesday, September 17th from 10 to 11 is Get Found Everywhere, not just on Google. So this is CJ Brogan. For those of you that already did the first class, she talked about getting your Google profile set up. This is now part 2 so that you can go beyond Google.
Jonathan, I actually missed the last couple of ones. Were those recorded or not?
I believe they
the
were.
last one.
Check with
Just the
Evie.
last one?
Only the last one.
Just the last
Oh,
one.
the last one.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out too, because Evie's been sending out once a week, she'll send out the list of recordings, so you can get to it right from that sheet.
Awesome,
I think she sent one out yesterday.
She's in there, yeah.
Risk management, we will be back here with Broker Bob on September 25th to go through everything risk management. I have a feeling it'll be exciting again. There's been a lot of rich content for Broker Bob to go through with you guys. So we'll be back here with him on the 25th. And this is what I was telling you guys, business plan, put it in your calendar. Because if you tell me you didn't know, I'm gonna look back at the recording and see that you were in this room and say, you weren't listening when I told you to put this date in your phone. October 3rd, Thursday, 9 to 4.
You already got an email about it.
You already got an email about it, you've now been told in here.
I'm gonna actually,
Yeah, go.
I'm just thinking about it, because we're obviously, this is a different training room than we usually have. We may have to do 2 days, and I think we're gonna have to do RSVPs.
Okay.
Because we can't really comfortably for a full day have more than 40 people in here. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah. Yes.
So when you see the RSVP come in from Evie, book your spot.
Can I be at the end of October?
Yeah.
Can you send your request in now?
I might not be here until beginning of.
So I just wanted to say real quick, for a lot of you that don't know Ashley, she is like the ultimate OP celebrity of KW, and she travels all over the country to speak, and we get to hear her right here in our room. I mean, we are so spoiled. I know for a lot of you, if you haven't been to events, you may not know that. But her business planning clinic is incredible. You absolutely have to have it on your calendar because it's in October. That's when we need to start business planning for next year. So make sure you're there.
I saw in one of the group chats, people were asking about coaching and stuff, and somebody was like, you cannot miss Ashley. If you find wherever she is, just travel. It's worth it.
She's kind of a big
Travel like that. Yeah, get that ticket and go. And they were like, yeah.
And thank you all for saying that, and that a lot of that is true. The benefit, honestly, I am very good at teaching this. I have a lot of humility around a lot of things. I don't have a lot of humility around my teaching. I know that's what I'm on the planet to do. The benefit is you don't have to freaking pay for it. I'm serious, guys. They pay me really good money when I go out to teach, which means they have to charge the students. So most times I'm going out, if it's a 1-day class, the charge to the student is $250.
Oh,
If
wow.
it's a 2-day class, it's $500.
So at the end of October?
Yeah. I can say yes for my calendar, but if I do that, and Evie's sitting in Austin, she'll just execute me from her. She runs the calendar.
Okay.
So just one of the more benefits of being KW Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could start charging.
We like
That didn't land well.
Yeah, that's a cheer from the crowd. Escrow Partners, to be totally honest, Evie had to make this slide for me because I was away at a regional event yesterday, but I would like to recognize Vinny for opening an Escrow Partners. So, super excited. And then I'm going to take my 2 minutes, and I swear I'm going to do this fast, but so I just said I was out at training with Ashley, which is super fun, by the way, because when you get to sit next to everybody, it's really nice to you. But one of the things that we did, you're right? It's really fun. One of the things that we did, it was called Market Center Financials, and one of the things that we did this morning, so this is fresh off the paper, is we looked at what's your opportunity for your agents, what's being missed. And I'm talking about money. So for those of you that like money, anybody? Yeah, anybody who likes money. Okay, just Emily. So I'm just talking to Emily because she's the only one that raised her hand.
Emily decided earlier today she's gonna make $2 million in the next 2 years.
Wow, you just
There
threw
you
that
And then we plan to it, right? We set a number and then we plan to it, and that's how it happens. So here's a number that I want you guys to know because I didn't know this number until this morning. So year to date, we have missed out, everyone in this room and everyone that's not here, we've missed out on $61,756 that should have been paid to you guys as agents. Specifically, we've missed out on this money
each.
it's a pool of money, right? This is a pool of money that should have gone to buyer's agents in the form of a listing. First of all, before I explain this, who would have liked to have some of that 61,000? Fabulous. The reason I'm bringing it up now is the next class I teach for escrow partners is going to be about how you get some of this $61,000. Now, where this number came from is in Market Center Financials. We're looking at our total for our listings, so how many listings we had, and our total for our buyers. Now, most market centers are fairly skewed. I will say for us, we're at 49.6% listings, which is pretty close to that 50-50. So just being off that slight amount left out 61,756. Now, what that means is, for us, we had slightly more buyers. So I'm going to say Gaga has a buyer, right? She missed the opportunity if she used that buyer and she went and bought a listing from an agent that's not in our office. She could have had the opportunity to go door knock, to go find a listing for herself that would have come from that buyer. So you can take your buyers, and there are ways to leverage them. It's like fishing. Your buyers are your bait to go get listings. So that's what this number is saying. It's saying that in a theoretical world, if all of our listings were going to all of our buyers, like if we were always bringing the listing and the buyer, then we would be at that perfect 50-50. So this is our opportunity, is for some of you guys that are buyer's agents, come to this class. We're going to teach you how to take that buyer that you do have and turn it into a listing, right? So that's going to be the next class. I am also working with Evie to get on the calendar because Evie runs the calendar. So I don't have the date for you, but I want to tell you now so that when you hear the title of the class that's how do I turn my buyer into a listing, that you show up so you got your portion of the 61,756. Cool? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Questions? No. You'll look out for the class when it comes. Okay. Ed had to run. He had a little quick personal emergency. He asked that I tell you guys that next Monday at 9 a.m. we are back on with Movement Mondays. So Movement Mondays are on Zoom at 9 a.m. Next Monday, he's going to be talking 1031 exchanges and other types of investments. This has been coming up a lot. I've been hearing a lot of this. So I would highly recommend, if you don't know about 1031 exchanges or other types of investments that you can do that aren't just traditional buying a home, go check this out on Monday. So Monday at 9. Broker update.
Broker update. All right.
BBB.
How are you guys doing? I'm just going to give you, if you guys can pass that around. Here's the biggest challenges coming up with escrows right now is if you're a listing agent and you're accepting an offer that they check box 3G3 and they check that box that says SPBB attached. What's happening is it's not attached in the contract, and in some cases it's not signed by the seller. And if it's not signed by the seller, it doesn't make the payment to the buyer's broker valid. So if you have a listing and you're getting an offer with an SPBB attached, and they're asking for broker compensation to be paid to the buyer, make sure you have that. Same thing if you're a buyer's agent and you're submitting an offer with 3G3 checked, and you check that box SPBB attached, make sure you attach that in the offer and send it over. and get it signed by the seller. Otherwise, guess what? You won't get paid. You won't get paid. What's that? Well, you're not going to be paid by the seller. Guess you're going to go hunt down for money. Your buyer.
That's fun.
Yeah, so if you're asking the seller, you represent a buyer, you're asking the seller to pay for your buyer's broker compensation, you make sure you get that SPDB signed and sent back in the original offer. Also, if your BRBC is only at, let's say, 2.5%, but you know that seller is willing to pay 3%, how much are you going to be able to get? 2.5. You can't get the greater amount. That greater amount could go to the buyer in form of closing costs, or it could be negotiated with the seller just to keep it. But so how much do you want to sign all your BRBCs for?
3%.
Yeah, because you're worth 3, right?
Yes.
Right? You can go down, but you can't go up. So know your value, know your worth. We know that some listing agents are asking you to send your BRBC prior to letting them show the house. They can't ask.
They can ask.
Well, they can ask. You're not required to give it.
Say it again?
Some listing agents we're hearing out in the community are telling you, if you want to show this property, we want you to send the BRBC over that you're going to show that buyer with. So they're trying to check and make sure you have a BRBC.
So what could our response be to that?
There really isn't one.
How about that there is no law that says you need to provide that?
Do you suggest that we don't?
Well, also, your client's information's on there, so the client that's confidential to me.
Yeah. And if worse comes to worse, just send them page 5 of the BRBC.
Yeah.
Because that is just the signature page that shows the amount that you're asking for.
So what would be the worst comes to worst that you're saying, it's like, what can happen from that? Are you afraid of maybe stealing?
Well,
or
it
something?
comes down to, they have a duty to get their home sold by that seller. And we're just gonna run across some of these agents that really don't understand the rules yet.
Yes.
Reach out to me and we'll see if I can call them and say, you're.
I'm the sticky one.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, we're gonna do stats in a minute. Are units up or down? Closed units up or down?
Closed units?
No. Yes or no? No.
Closed or after?
Closed. Closed units are down, month over month. So if a market is constricting, meaning there's fewer sales available, we tend to see more agents try to make it difficult for you to show it because they want to double end it and get both sides. So that's just one more excuse to say, you can't see it unless I see that.
I wonder if brokers are asking their agents to do that though. Agents?
I think some maybe.
We're seeing all kinds of stuff happen right now. Well, it'll all kind of work out. And then also what we're seeing is the BRBC signed with an offer, and that sign date is after the offer date.
Oops. Details.
You get that?
Yes.
In other words, the agent did get the BRBC signed, showed them property, wrote the offer up, and then, ooh, I gotta get our BRBC signed. And that signed BRBC is after the contract written date. That's also an MLS violation. So you could be turned in for that. And you all understand item 2C1 of the RLA and 2C2 or 2B1, 2B2, where you talk about offer of compensation, where you as a listing agent, how much you're going to get for selling the house. You all understand, you put the 3%, that's what you get, right? Do you understand the box that says unrepresented buyer?
Yes.
Someone explain it to me.
It's for the extra work that we would have to do for the buyer that's unrepresented. We would not represent the buyer, we would just have to do an extra work, like maybe provide some more documentation or some forms.
Which would mean that they would charge more for
The
that
seller for an extra work.
And when do you have that conversation with that seller about how much additional percentage you could make if you're doing all the work for that unrepresented buyer? When you sign the listing.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. Somebody took an RLA for 3% and then 1% for unrepresented buyer. And then a buyer came along and this agent says, oh, I'm gonna put this buyer under a BRBC, but I'll do it at 0%.
Oh, so then they get 0% for representing the buyer as well.
And then the agent's trying to backtrack and figure out, wait a minute,
They thought it was 4% that they'd be getting?
yes.
Yeah, so dual representation is not.
Because he's represented,
Yeah.
even though he was supposed to be non-represented.
Unrepresented.
Just refer it to somebody else and get a percentage.
That's probably easier. Probably easier because
Get yourself out of
Less
that.
liability.
I know as single agents in this office like to do dual agency at times. We've allowed it, but there's a little bit more prickly path. Because now if you're putting a buyer under a BRBC with a certain percentage, you know what they're gonna be owing you. How can you fairly represent the seller knowing that you're gonna be presenting an offer on the buyer you're also representing? And you gotta represent the seller. How are you gonna tell that seller, yeah, I know I'm representing this buyer, they want to pay me 3%, so they're just gonna put that in the offer. Do you see how kind of difficult that can be? So just be aware, because you have fiduciary to your principal, and in a dual agency situation, it's very tough. It's a little bit more tough now with these rules. Okay, any questions? Yes.
What if you have a BRBC signed with the buyer before you get that listing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Does your fiduciary lie with the buyer?
It lies with both. It's always more difficult with dual agency by a single agent where you're representing both buyer and seller. But I think now it's more the challenge is going to be more magnified now because now the offer of compensation to a buyer's broker is done inside the contract and it's not done before the listing's taken to market. That's why you have to have a really good relationship with your sellers and have the discussion as outlined in the broker compensation advisory. Note that verbiage inside out when you're talking offers of compensation with either a listing or a buyer. You got to learn that language.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Oh, so read this. This is all about the SPVB. So if you don't have a copy, let me know. I can print more.
Read the document. Katie, you guys, this is really exciting. Katie, over the very first- she's addicted to mints and she needs them because she has anxiety. It's her first one. Deep breaths. Congratulations, Katie. We love you.
Does anybody have a super urgent property pitch? I'm over it. I should be going to Ashley. Okay, I'm gonna go to Ashley. Put it in Facebook if you have a property pitch.
Gotta switch the slides.
Oh, you this. So 90 days from today is actually Tuesday, December 10th, and it's Human Rights Day, which I thought was just kind of cool. You know what? Wait, yeah, December. So I put a holiday or a special day 90 days from today because what you're doing today will show up then. So we call it the real estate calendar. As far as your business actually goes, it's December 10th. So if you want to make money in December, what should you be doing now?
Working your ass off.
Making a scoreboard. Appropriately
for me.
This wasn't planned, but because Gaga said it, what numbers do you think are important to maybe have on your business scoreboard?
Contacts attempted, contacts made,
Okay.
appointments.
Conversion.
What happens after appointment? So appointment agreement, closing. Okay, what do you think the most important number there is?
Conversion.
Contacts, because nothing else happens without that. And you can be really bad at everything else, and if you make enough contacts, you're going to make the income you want.
And also,
The vast majority of people talk to one realtor before they decide to work with a realtor. You just have to be the first one. You can be really crappy. Now, you're an agent here, so you're not going to be crappy. But that's just the reality, unfortunately, of the industry.
The challenge is y'all can be really great, but you don't talk to us enough people. And so guess who gets to work with them?
Crappy.
I
think also like, talking about, what we have to make, because knowing contacting people, of course, is important, but then also having a budget, like how much are you actually, what are your expenses and what is the future and what are your, taxes and all that? Yeah, exactly.
We actually go through that in detail, so get in one of those classes. I'm actually going back and forth with Evie right now. We have not set, and it might be the beginning of November. So, but we'll do one later. Okay.
Actually,
Yes.
also identifying where your business is coming from.
Yep.
So we can
Again,
focus on
that's all done in business planning. The point is you need a scoreboard because I know I had Robert and I had a great meeting last week and I said something and I left and I went, probably shouldn't have said that, but it's true. I don't know, it wasn't that conversation. I've had a lot of conversations with some of our agents over the last 3 weeks and you all want to work less and make more money.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely infuriating because you don't work a lot as it is. I am being very honest, and I don't think it's laughable. If you all worked 5 hours solidly a day, nobody in this room would have some financial issues. 5 hours a day. Energy got a little funky. All right, so Human Rights Day, really good reason to have it. 1950, we passed some legislation that said every human on the planet deserves basic fundamental rights, and so we celebrate that then. Here's our fast facts for this month. Our agents took 38.46% more listings in August, because this goes through the end of August, than we did last year. So congratulations, listing agents. Listing volume is up 6% year over year. That is right on par with the rest of the county. Because we went up so fast, that's mellowed a little bit. And what's happened with listings this year? We've had a lot more. So when you get a lot more inventory in comparison, your prices don't go up as fast. Okay. Our average sales price is up 12%. That is high. It's not as high as it was. Do you remember, who remembers what this would have been last year? 14? Depending on the month of last year, it was between 14 and 18. For the total year, it was right about 14. Okay, I highlighted these price points because look how much more inventory is coming up above 100,000. So we have two markets going on right now. And likely, probably for the rest of time, it just starts shifting up. Right now, under 800,000 is going to continue to go up very aggressively because there's so much demand for very few properties. We're going to probably see a leveling off or softening above 800,000. Okay, and you can kind of tell because where we have, these are the sold units. If we have 36% more properties listed over 2 million, but we've only sold 26%, there's a 10% delta. That's what tells you that it's softening. Same thing for 1 to 2 million, 41% in 19. This is as of this morning. Woke up at 2 this morning, not intentionally. So I pulled these this morning. This is not similar time frame, but just always a snapshot of time. August 21st compared to September 11th. What do you guys see? What insights do you have from those numbers?
Pretty similar.
Not a huge difference. Where the difference is this is where we slowed down. So I asked how many units did we sell? That's actually a significant difference. As is this, and this is on single family only. The good news, and I kind of went, ugh. We felt that, by the way. Anybody else feel that?
Yeah.
In terms of actual income, we've definitely felt that. The good news is the pendings are up slightly on the under $500,000 or under $1 million, and they're not down as bad. So September should be even, should not really go backwards from August, which is a good thing. And there's on the houses. Now, different story here. How many less pendings? That's actually significant.
Right.
Last month I had said we have two markets. We have the single family housing market and the condo market. The condo market here is softening for lots of different reasons. I also predicted last month we'd see a correction on prices. I didn't know we would see it in the month. And we did. So when I get to the average price slide, everybody's gonna go, oh, because I did. All right. Now, in every price point, except the 600,000 to 700,000 in August, so January through August, in every single price point except that one, we have taken more listings than we did last year. A lot, pretty much a lot more listings. The yellow line is this year, the red line was last year. But if we just looked at those 2 years together, we would go, oh my God, this is awesome. But we're not back to where we were in 2022. It would be great to get back to this level. And then the sold's just gonna follow those lines. And essentially everything, we're selling so much more property over 800,000 because, again, the prices have just moved up. How many of you own a house? I'm just curious, literally own a house. How many of you have owned it for less than 4 years? Okay, so how much equity do you have, do you think, in the last 4 years? How much equity have you built up?
Probably like 60 to 80,000.
Okay.
Not a whole lot.
Would you be willing to share what you bought it for?
615.
And in 4 years?
No, 2 years.
2 years, okay, sorry.
It was less
I was
than
gonna say,
4.
whoa.
You said less than 4, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that makes sense. Joe?
2.5 years,
Okay, what'd you buy for?
800,
What do you think it's worth?
140.
Okay.
Done a lot of work.
I bought mine in 2020 for 738,
You bought it at the top of the market, if it was 2020.
and it's at 1.2 million. 738.
Now, I usually say I want you all to own property, but I wanted to ask because in a little bit of time, you made a lot of money. And back in 2020 and 2021, if you weren't active in the real estate sales market, it was insanity. In my entire career, those are the 2 craziest years I've ever experienced, yes? And so when we say our prices, they really jumped up in those 2 years. That's why it was the top of the market. And yet you've still made money, and a lot of it. So do whatever it takes to get in. And you just proved, if this is a 2-year spread, what'd you pay for it again?
Like 615.
Okay, so you went from this price point to this one.
Yeah.
You went like, went there. Yeah, Emily.
When you say top of the market, though, we've gone past that. So what do you mean by?
At the time, it was like we.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever have people go, it's not gonna get any higher? I don't wanna pay these prices, they're not sustainable.
I said that.
I know, and in that, I'm telling you, in that year, I was saying the same thing, because the frenzy was so crazy, because everybody wanted out of their condo into a house because we were quarantined. So there was all this psychology going on that made our prices be asinine, and yet you've still made money. You feeling it, guys?
Yeah.
It's going to continue to appreciate. Might take a slight bump backwards, which you'll see it did in August, but it's going to come right back up because the demand is still much greater than what supply we have. Now this is if I just took a snapshot of the last 2 years, it's not good perspective. You really need that third year because we were so down last year. All right, same thing with souls. Active houses, last month, August 21st, in the price points from 200 up to 5 million. That's how much inventory we had last month. This month, today, Actually, it was Sunday. Can you tell?
Yes.
Slightly more. It's not a big run-up. It's slightly more. And where you're gonna see more is our again, that's houses. These are condos last month, condos this month. That's a big difference.
Oh, wow.
Now, the reason for that is the condo market is softening. All the HOA issues we've got, the law changes that, our absorption rates stayed very flat. We slowed down just a little bit in most of these, but those are really healthy absorption rates too. So I think Sarah just asked me a few days ago again, we all tend to forget stuff we know and then we have to re-remember. We won't see a buyer's market until the absorption rates are under what number?
50.
Well, so you've got buyer's markets and seller's market and stable market. Stable market's 15 to 20%. So we won't see a buyer's market until we're at 15% or lower absorption. When's that gonna happen?
Never knows.
Good answer.
Actually, on that though, I was just looking at this yesterday with my coach, and we were seeing different numbers if you just pulled luxury.
Oh, sure.
So like I was seeing much lower absorption numbers in the luxury market.
And the higher you go, and this takes so much effort. I've started a new spreadsheet to do new price points. I had hoped to have it by mid-year. I'll have it by end of year, and we'll have new price points by next. It's just, I go back 10 years and have to pull every single month, every single price point. It's a lot. But yeah, if we were to look at 5 million and above, which really is luxury in San Diego, it's much softer.
When I'm saying Max, if you have a luxury buyer, there's opportunity in that market because that's what I'm seeing. Is I'm seeing price drops in the luxury market where I'm looking, and it's opportunity for my buyers.
100%. Yes.
The difference between 1 million and 2 million, that seems like a really broad stretch. It'd be nice to have a number in between.
It is, but what I try to do is keep this number as close as possible. So when I first did this,
keep the bands.
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot. Now everything that was 900 is pushed up in there.
Exactly.
So I do have other ones defined. All right, new listings. So every number that's here is in August, all the way back to 2014. This actually makes me happy because we're getting back, we've kind of normalized. If we were to do a line, take out these really bad years, we kind of we're gonna float somewhere between this 18 and 2,200 probably new listings every month, I think, going forward. And actives, thank God we came down a little bit, meaning we're not building up inventory now. Now we've just plateaued. We built up quickly. I remember, Bridget, you asked me one month, are we up 40%? Yeah, we were up 40%. The raw numbers are still not high. But this is scary if it continues to go up, and it's not. Okay. Pendings, follow the same line. There are very few properties that get listed that don't sell. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how we know? Because the absorption rates are so high. What doesn't sell right now?
Overpriced.
What doesn't sell in any market?
Overpriced.
Sold listings, gonna follow the pendings. And that's where I put that 2,000, that's just gonna be our average. By the way, that's half of what it used to be. 2,000 sales a month in San Diego is half of what it used to be. So when I said earlier, when you have a market that contracts, until the number of agents also contracts, you're going to have agents who do very creative things to try to double end property. Because when we had 8,000 sides a month available, it's very different than when you only have 4,000 sides. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, like what Robert was. Yeah.
Median sales price, okay, here's where I went. Came down, but it's still over last year. Condos came down, but it's still over last year. But people have still made money based on the median. It will correct. Look at that one. Uh-huh. It will correct. This is gonna probably take months to recover, but this is condos. And when I said last month, we're seeing when the HOA is upside down, it may not be a warrantable condo, which affects the value. When, let's say the HOA isn't upside down, but it's got 10 decks it has to redo, and now everybody's getting a $40,000 assessment. In the short term, it's gonna affect the value, and the market just has to keep going up to recapture that value.
It's kind of similar to what happened during the short sale. We had a lot of condo associations that were upside down.
Yep.
And super cheap condos, but you guys pay a shitload in assessments, but you got a really good condo, a great deal.
Well, you talk about opportunity in the marketplace.
Yep.
When that was happening, we had so many and some of the large ones. The Pentecost Way, I was trying to mention that a couple weeks ago. You remember Pentecost Way? But investors went in there, and the challenge is the investors went in and they owned like 60% of the units. Then you do make them unwarrantable. However, they're good deals. And what are rents now compared to 2008 and 9?
Vest, a bulletproof vest.
Broker box.
It still appreciates even though you have to order no.
I said BBB earlier because we call him BB, but we have to add a third B now. Bitchy broker box.
Teachers are being made in your name.
I've become Leo.
He said that last week. I was like, no, you haven't. Properties on the active market, more than their median days, should consider a price adjustment. And right now, I'm going to say it's always true, but if you've had a challenge pricing appropriately, you're not alone. The market is shifting slightly. It's not going backwards, it's just slowing down, but that impacts your days on market and probably where you should come in on pricing. So it's up 21 days for condos. Why? Because every metric that we're going to measure condos by is softening right now. It's up, or it's not up at all for houses. It's exactly where it was last month for houses. I think this trend, both in pricing on condos and days on market, will probably continue to inch up through the end of the year until some of these decks are redone or they figure out what they're going to do with reserves and the HOAs.
Can I ask a favor for anybody that's a buyer's agent that's out there? If you see an overpriced listing we're not looking, will you send that listing agent's information to me? It's something Sarah and I are working on. They may not be getting the education that you guys are, and it gives us the ability to call them and have a real conversation and help educate them, and it's how we're able to move forward and bring the people that we want to connect with. It just needed that education over into this group. So if you're out there shopping with your buyer and you see an overpriced listing, send that to me or to Sarah, and we'll reach out and help. And invite them to the next market stats, because ultimately, if they're a nice human, they just need education. We need to know that, and you guys are seeing it even more than Sarah and I. So that's my one ask.
I'm going to add to that. Write this down, and I'll have Evie send it out. But write this date down. October 9th. It's a Wednesday. We have a Zoom team meeting scheduled that day. I'll talk to everybody. Maybe we'll make that an in-person one. Because I am putting an event on with Broker Bob here from 10 to 12. And it's intended for anybody that you know who is a small brokerage owner or a small team owner or a broker out on their own. Many of you may not know this, but the vast majority of agents in San Diego County are solo shops, meaning one or two people in an office. How much education do you think they're getting?
Zero.
And they get a little crazy. Because they don't even, they go to lab coat agents for all their info.
It's true.
You guys know it's true. And so have we had a few changes in the industry?
Just a few.
Do you have to deal with the majority of agents who aren't in an education-based brokerage? You have to deal with them.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is start educating them on the changes. So your jobs get easier. So if you know anybody who's in those categories, please let us know. Just like business planning, we're only gonna be able to have 40 or 50 people in here. But it has to happen, because I know this man has had to have some uncomfortable conversations with brokers who don't know shit, and we need to start being proactive.
Do you want us to like give them an invitation or just connect you with?
Either way.
Okay.
And we've got the Evite already set up, Evie already did it, so you can just get that out. What I don't want is it going out to the entire community, because it's not intended for the agents. It's for the people who are in charge of agents or on their own. Because part of my intention is also to say, okay, you're a broker, you're proud you've got a brokerage of 15 people, you're doing all your own production, which is keeping you alive, and your 14 people aren't getting any education. You have a responsibility.
That was my question. Yeah.
All right. Now, if you think it's valid, we can do that for agents. I think it's just a different conversation, but I have no problem. We can educate everybody that you are having to deal with. Your lives are easier. All right, most supply, flat, has not risen for houses, but it has for condos. Why?
Is it so?
All metrics. Yep, all metrics. And then the same thing. So the listing versus sales price for condos went down. That's it. Flat on the houses. Now, price per square foot on houses had a little bit of a spike. That's because there were a couple big luxury houses that went up and sold. Now, my question last month, and I want you guys to think about this constantly, is if we've had this run up 10 years, use paper. This is not a square foot, but kind of a square foot. $689 for roughly a square foot of house.
Wow, pricing.
It's not if you bought it 10 years ago. So, now, who was in the business in 2014? Raise your hands really high, all you old people. So play with me. How many of us were in the business and thought our prices in 2014 were crazy? As agents. Can you remember? Can you remember something from 2014? Barely. It seems like when you're Charlie's age, that's a long time. It's not that, it goes very fast.
Yeah.
And yet, I remember walking in, and it was even prior to this, it was probably 2004, so 10 years prior to that, walking into a house in North Park and going, I'd never pay that for that. And I think it was a $400,000 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow going, oh, Jesus, it's $1.2 million now. So why would I say this? Because even as professionals, sometimes we lose perspective that if you see this kind of increase every 10 years, where are our prices for per square foot going to be in 30 years? How long's a mortgage typically? 30 years. Now, most people don't stay in their houses 30 years, but if you were to buy either the one you live in or an investment property and held it for 30 years, what would this be worth?
$1,500.
$2,000.
Because it doubles. So 1689 is how much doubled? I'm sorry, 689.
1380 something.
And the next time it doubles, it's almost like compounded interest.
Yes.
So a lot more than you think. This should motivate all of you. The reason Emily is going to make $2 million in the next 2 years. By the way, do $6 million a month and you're there. I already broke down the numbers for you. Is why?
I don't want to sell my condo.
And
Because
you
I
want
want
to
it
do
in
what?
2014, and I want to rent it out, and it'll cash flow to the nines. And so I need to save the down payment, and I would like to buy a house. My background's finance, don't come after me, I know this isn't how you should necessarily use your money, but I want to be able to pay for the house somewhere in Sunset Cliffs or Ocean Beach free, almost free and clear, or a manageable mortgage. And you can't get 1,500 square feet in OB for less than, it's a fixer at 1.75 right now. So.
I love that motivation. That's a really good big why.
And it has to have a good yard.
And by the way, I would say put even more motivation on it, because if you look at this again, you already know the 2014 you bought the condo. If you don't buy it in the next 2 years, how much is it gonna be?
Yeah, I know. Yep, that's why it's.
That's why there should be urgency here in the conversation with yourself and every buyer you have. Because this line is not going to go down. So what is 689 now, next year, I promise you, is going to be above 700. This month, next year, it will definitely be above 700. We should, go ahead, let's hold me to it. Put a Facebook thingy on it and it'll remind us next year today.
That's really cool.
Do you guys understand this though? So I think you need to be more passionate with your clients, because we're really doing them financial harm if we're not saying, is it a good time to buy? Well, it's better today than it is tomorrow because of this. What if the interest rates come down? It is better today because of this. Because if the interest rates go down, this is still happening. Then refi.
You're not married to your interest.
I wonder, life stuff happens. Stuff happens. So there could be, if you owned in this period of time, you could have some bad things that happen in your life where you would say, I'm so sorry I bought this in 2014. That's rare. And it's usually not about the real estate. It's about something else that happened in life. Typically, it's, I'm so glad I bought. Have you? Yes? How many of you have somebody that regretted buying something 5 or 10 years ago? And honestly, who's that? Is that Rob Paul? Especially living in Southern California, gang, how are you going to develop wealth if you don't live on this graph? It's really expensive to live here. We all know that. Why not get an asset that's doubling every 10 years? All right, then your monthly indicators from SDAR. I don't love these, but this is the one snapshot we get that talks about new housing supply. Since we don't have a ton in San Diego, it's good to get the national snapshot. Existing home sales increased for the first time in 5 months. So nationally, we had slowed down through the summer and then it increased. Why do you think that would be? What happened to rates? Did they edge down just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. So there are people who just kind of wait in time and go, okay, now's the time. That is going, I think, the pricing's already being baked in, but psychologically, when the Fed lowers the rate on the 17th, you may have buyers go, okay, we're ready now. Be ready for that.
And call them.
And call them.
Yeah. Because if they're probably not watching this as closely as we are, and they're waiting for it to come down, people's brains have normalized that this is what it is. And it's dropped a lot. I don't know if you guys have been watching the race as closely as I have the last, let's call it 4 weeks, because I was ready to see what I could lock in at. And I was every single day refreshing multiple times as if that was going to do something. But my brain was like, oh my God, 7.125 is crazy. When it hit a 6, I was like, woo, hallelujah, let's go.
And interesting, you're a normal consumer, because if they are in that spot, that is exactly what they're doing. And you knew it before your lender did. Yeah. And you had to put pressure on them to get it.
You were with me.
Yeah. But when they're that motivated, that's when you want to be in conversation with them.
Yeah. She didn't love me, but that's fine. You're my lender. Let's go.
I said, well, Alright, and I put this, I did update it. Last month was the first time I put this here, but I updated it with today's median. National median for a house is 422.6. Ours is not that. So I had my soapbox moment to start with, which was work, stop asking and trying to get coaching on how to work less and make more. Work and sell some of those. You'll be just fine. Housing supply overview. Tale of two markets again. So this is the new home market. Newly built homes. Again, we don't have a ton in San Diego, but builder confidence is really important to the rest of our economy, really. Does anybody have an idea when the last year was we built enough houses to meet the demand in a year?
2010? 2003.
How did you know that?
I attended a conference a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amy. Okay, how many years ago was that?
21.
So we've had 21 years of not building enough units to meet the demand. How many years is that going to take to make up?
Unless
So-
you start doing floating.
Now this is national, we're not talking San Diego, we do have our unique issues here, but nationally, is it possible, currently, the current thinking that I'm aware of and the minds that are making this stuff happen, it's not possible. We don't have a plan to make that up. I'm sure there's a way, but we don't have it yet. So number one, first thing I want you to take away with that, the only way prices can go is up. Because we've had a 23 years of not building enough. Yes? The other part is keeping an eye on builder confidence will at least allow us to see when we are getting new inventory nationally. Because if they continue to not be confident, it's a problem. It's I don't want to say number one, but probably is the number one issue right now in our election besides inflation.
We know they're confident because they're not giving us any compensation.
Some builders
Some
are.
do, but.
Yeah. So those are two different things. So Judy said, they're confident. They're confident their current inventory is going to sell, which is why they don't co-op with us. They're not confident in putting new wood in the ground. From the time you entitle a property and build it and get it to sale, there's a lot of time. Yeah. So this is before, when they're buying, when they're entitling the projects. All right. That's good. Market-wide inventory levels were up 50%. They're up in condos. We are not up 50% in San Diego in anything else. We're not even up that high in condos. You telling me something? All right, we're good. I'm good. You got questions? Yes, Jacqueline.
And Bridget too, but the one thing I was gonna say is when you guys saw Ashley say work, right, like we were all kind of laughing that like if we just did 5 hours work, if you don't know what work means, start. That's serious, right? I know. I mean, I was in Huntington not that long ago, right? I've only been in business 5 years. If you don't know what that means, start with coming on Friday. Come to Never Ending Referrals, build a database or call your database. If you don't know where to start there. And then if you have more questions, call me. That was it.
Well, yeah. And where'd my book go?
Your book.
The book I paid $50 for.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's around.
Do you have it?
No, I didn't see
What's in your bag?
So I showed this to our group that was masterminding earlier, and we're going to figure out how to get these printed. This is available digitally on KW Connect, so you all have access to it already. But there are some of us that absorb better if we can see it on a piece of paper. And what this is, to Jacqueline's point, if you don't know what the work is, here's the work. This book is filled with exactly what to do in any lead generation activity. So you want to do open houses? It's going to tell you what to do from the time you get the signs out and where to put them, like everything.
I actually pre-ordered
It's-
those, and I just received them, for sure that's the same book I.
It's the playbook? Yeah.
Ordered three of them.
Well,
Pre-orders.
I didn't pre-order, I ordered on, it was $25 and $25 shipping.
I got
Which is why, if you want one for two.
So I'm selling for them. No, I'm sure.
Well, how many of you would want, buy it? You have to pay for it. I'm gonna guess I can get them for probably $20 printed. How many of you would get one?
I wish I would have got you.
All right. There you go.
I have a question.
Who is talking?
Well, but somebody else was also. Okay, so question about when the interest rates dropped in the.
17.
Should we prepare for and expect for not a slowdown in the housing market leading up towards the holidays, but a ramp up?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm praying for, and I'm praying it doesn't get so crazy. Because other economic news that came out this week, I actually thought they'd drop 50 basis points, but because some of the numbers weren't great, I think now they'll just do 25. So that's less exciting. But you guys know, how crazy do your people get when they listen to the news? Whether it's good news or bad news, they get crazy. They hear interest rates go down, they should start fighting.
Actually, do you mind going back to the days on market slide? I think I missed the numbers on that. I couldn't remember what our average days on.
21 and 15. 21 condos, 15 houses. And that's active market time, not total market time. You guys know the difference, right?
What'd you say?
Active, so this is AMT. In the MLS, there's two categories. Active market time means it's the time you had it under active status. Total market time includes if you got it in escrow and then fell out.
Or if it's coming soon.
Or it's coming soon. More often than not, though, it's been in the MLS, we got a buyer pulled out after inspections, now my market time is 15 days plus whatever I was in escrow at.
Yeah, I've seen on the MLS, they'll be like,
And that's
a lot of
not,
escrow buyer's fault or something,
Yeah.
so you're not,
but that screws up the market time.
Mhm.
Because it now counts all those days in escrow.
Oh, I didn't realize, I thought it was only counting the actual active of both ends. I didn't realize it was
No,
counting the.
the active market time dates, that's what that is.
Okay.
Market time is. Yes.
I was gonna say something with respect to condos. People should not get disappointed with the fact that we have, yes, on resale, condos are a bloody mess, including the one that I own. However, new condos, you should go talk to the developers because one, they're paying a good amount of money. Two, the insurance is included in the condo and they're doing a lot of the energy, what is it, green, smart or whatever, EV, whatever, everything that's considered green. So I think you guys, the buyers that are not in detached homes, you should definitely look at, new builders and make that connection.
And again, this is a moment in time while we catch up with the HOAs. This still exists for condos.
Yeah.
So if you can't touch it, this is Jacqueline Hughes Market Place.
And I've already paid.
Yeah.
50,000 in equity.
Yep.
In how long?
A week.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a new build, so I went under contract back in November, and I was phase 8, but they're selling phase 12 at. I've already made 50 grand.
Yeah.
In a week.
Nice.
Next topic.
And I have solar built into that
EV.
because everyone has to have solar.
Yeah.
So my bills will be less than traditional because that's part of new builds. And
Is it
my
paid for
budget-
solar?
Paid
It's
for.
leased.
That's
Oh, see, some are leased.
paid
So
for.
you have to sell
No,
them,
paid
some of them
for.
are
It's
leased.
in there.
Nice.
And my lender bought down my rating point, so I wasn't in the 6s, I was in the 5s.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I know!
And if you go with the builders, sometimes they'll buy it. So there's a lot of opportunity.
And now you live here, so you're gonna be making a lot of money. You get, my point in that is get in. It's, I would, let me caveat that too. Get into the house you're going to live in. I will say, if you're going to invest in real estate, I probably would take you outside of San Diego County, outside of California, just because our landlord rules are so onerous. But for your house, if you're paying, how many of you rent? So you live on here too? except you're adding to the wealth of the person you're paying the rent to. You're paying a mortgage. Everybody in this room is paying a mortgage.
Just not yours, just not yours.
So for people that just got in and are new agents, don't have the money on this ready to buy, this has been your age-old story since I joined the
I feel like a
Center
broken
7 years
record.
ago. So we'll still be saying this in 2 to 3 years when you have the down payment saved, or 6 months, whatever it is.
Yeah. I think this should be your mindset constantly.
Right.
Because this hasn't changed. That trajectory, yes, it goes like this. What's the trajectory? Has it ever gone the other way
No.
in 10 years?
No.
If I brought the numbers up for 30 years, it's
Yeah.
never gone the other way except for a 2-year period
Where I temporarily did, but.
where the entire world, yeah,
Yeah.
that was 2008, 2009. And since then, so could something happen? We'll have a 2-year dip? Yep. 3-year dip? Maybe. But guess what?
It adjusts.
And it's getting, this is escalating. This is getting faster. Why?
Demand?
Supply and demand.
Limited, bigger numbers.
Supply is limited, and limited really because of 23 years of short building. But the other thing that is getting greater, somebody said it already. Population, which means your demand is getting greater. That's why that's gonna accelerate. All right, yes,
Oh, sorry.
and that's it. Oh my God, we're 11 minutes over. You guys
Okay.
gotta get out of here.
In addition to the population growing, the average age of a first-time home buyer is 33 years old, and for the next 10 years, we're gonna have increasingly more 33-year-olds in our population. So in addition to that.
I have to.